Hello, students. Welcome back to today's class and the very interesting chapter Mother's Day. So, we saw how Mrs. Fitzgerald, with her magic trick, changed the bodies, or you can say, changed the personalities. Now, Mrs. Pearson, personality wise, was Mrs. Fitzgerald, and Mrs. Fitzgerald, personality wise, was Mrs. Pearson. So, Mrs. Pearson, now with Mrs. Fitzgerald's personality, see what I mean, dear. Now you will say Mrs. Pearson behaving like Mrs. Fitzgerald and Mrs. Fitzgerald behaving like Mrs. Pearson. Please be clear about this. See what I mean, dear. She notices the cigarette. Here, you don't want that. She snatches it. She snatches the cigarette from Mrs. Fitzgerald's hand and puts it in her own mouth, puffing contentedly, satisfactory. Mrs. Fitzgerald, now with Mrs. Pearson's personality, looks down at herself and sees that her body has changed and gives a scream in fright. Okay, Mrs. Fitzgerald, who was actually from inside Mrs. Pearson, and she saw her body, the body was of Mrs. Fitzgerald. She got very frightened and she screamed. Mrs. Fitzgerald, with Mrs. Pearson's personality, oh, it has happened. See, my has worked. Mrs. Pearson, complacently, of course, it's happened. Very neat. Didn't know I had it in me. Mrs. Pearson said, very with lots of satisfaction, and she said, very composed type of feeling with that. She said, of course, it has happened. I also didn't know I had this magic trick in me. Mrs. Fitzgerald, who's very alarmed, but whatever shall I do, Mrs. Fitzgerald? George and the children can't see me like this. Mrs. Pearson said grimly, sadly, they aren't going to. That's the point. They'll have me to deal with. Only they won't know it. So Fitzgerald said that my family members are just about to come, because she was Mrs. Pearson from inside. She said my family can't see me like this. And Mrs. Pearson said, who was actually in personality Mrs. Fitzgerald, said, you don't need to be here. I am Mrs. Pearson now, so I'll be handling your family. You can go. Mrs. Fitzgerald, still alarmed. But what if we can't change back? What would happen if this remains forever? It would be terrible. Mrs. Pearson, here, steady, Mrs. Pearson. If you had to live my life, it would not be so bad. You would have more fun as me than you have had as you. Pearson says, if you have to be like Mrs. Fitzgerald for the rest of your life, it would be fun for you. Mrs. Fitzgerald said, yes, but I don't want to be anybody else. She was satisfied with her life, although she was not treated well with her by her family members, but still she wanted to be who she was. Mrs. Pearson said, now stop worrying. It's easier changing back. I can do it anytime we want. So this was the, you can say, consolation and promise given by Mrs. Pearson, who was actually personality wise Mrs. Fitzgerald. She said, don't worry, I'll be changing back. Mrs. Fitzgerald said, well, do it now. So she just wanted to come back to her body. Mrs. Fitzgerald said, it's your only chance. Give me your hands and keep quiet a minute. Just don't think about anything. Taking her hands, she said, now look at me. They stared at each other, muttering, Ashtadam, Ashtadam, Ashtalambadambona. This is the same page we read. So this is here. She said, Mrs. Pearson said, not likely. Means not possible. I'm not going to change again now. First, the purpose of changing our bodies should be fulfilled. And the purpose was that Mrs. Pearson's family should come to right path and they should learn to value Mrs. Pearson. So she said, not likely. I have got to deal with your family first. That is the idea, isn't it? For this, we have changed that your family should learn to deal with you. Didn't know how to begin with them, you said. Mrs. Pearson said, when she was Mrs. Pearson, that I don't know how to start. I'll show you, Mrs. Pearson said. Mrs. Fitzgerald, but what am I going to do? Okay, Mrs. Pearson with Mrs. Fitzgerald's personality is going to change Mrs. Pearson's family. But what would Mrs. Fitzgerald, having Mrs. Pearson's personality, do? What will she do? Because she doesn't know any magic tricks or anything like this. Mrs. Pearson said, "Go into my house for a bit. There's nobody there. Then pop back, come back and see how we are doing. You ought to enjoy it. You should enjoy it. Better get off now before one of them comes. Before one of your family member comes, you go to my house." Mrs. Fitzgerald nervously rising, "Yes, I suppose that's best. You're sure it will be all right?" She's getting too nervous that she's leaving her family behind with this woman, Mrs. Fitzgerald, who's having her body right now. So she's asking, "You're sure it will be all right?" Mrs. Pearson chuckling, smiling, "It will be wonderful. Now off you go, dear." Mrs. Fitzgerald crosses and hurries out through the door right, left to herself. Mrs. Pearson smokes away, lighting another cigarette. In reality, Mrs. Pearson doesn't smoke, but now Mrs. Pearson is with the personality of Mrs. Fitzgerald, so she keeps on smoking and begins laying out the cards for patience on the table. After a few moments, Doris Pearson, daughter, comes bursting in from left door. She's a pretty girl in her early 20s who would be pleasant enough if she had not been spoiled. Means she was spoiled because of her mother. She was over pampered. Doris, before she has taken anything in, before she has entirely entered, "Mum, you'll have to iron my yellow silk. I must wear it tonight." She now sees what is happening and is astounded, shocked. "What are you doing?" She moves down left center. So before entering, she is giving an order to her mother, like every day she said, "Please iron my yellow silk." And then she came and noticed her mother, that her mother was smoking. So she was astounded. Mrs. Pearson now uses her ordinary voice, but her manner is not fluttering and apologetic, but cool and incisive. Now her voice was there like Mrs. Pearson, but her behavior and mannerism were completely changed. Mrs. Pearson said, not even looking up, "What do you think I'm doing? Whitewashing the ceiling?" When Doris asked, "What are you doing?" Mrs. Pearson said, "Can't you see what am I doing? Am I whitewashing the ceiling?" Doris, still astounded. "But you're smoking?" She's quite surprised. Mrs. Pearson said, "That's right, dear. No law against it that I can't smoke, is it there?" Doris said, "But I thought you didn't smoke." Because Mrs. Pearson actually didn't smoke. She was Mrs. Fitzgerald who was smoking. That's why Doris said, "But I thought you didn't smoke." Mrs. Pearson said, "Then you thought wrong. I do." Doris said, "Are we having tea in the kitchen?" Mrs. Pearson said, "Have it where you like, dear." Okay. Doris angrily, "Do you mean it isn't ready?" Because the mother said, "You can make the tea wherever you want." Means the tea was not prepared. That was the reason Doris got angry. See, a daughter is getting angry at her mother. She says, "You mean tea isn't ready?" Generally, every day tea was ready because it was Mrs. Pearson. Now it was Mrs. Fitzgerald, so nothing was ready. Mrs. Pearson said, "Yours isn't. Tea for you isn't ready. I have had all I want. I have prepared tea for myself and I have enjoyed it. I have not prepared tea for you. Might go out later and get a square meal at the Clarendon." She says that maybe that I'll be going out today for dinner. Doris said, hardly believing her ears, because her mother had never behaved like this, had never tried to go out, but this time Mrs. Pearson was saying that she could go out. Doris said, Who might go for dinner?" Mrs. Pearson said, "I might. Who do you think?" Doris staring at her, "Mum, what's the matter with you?" Mrs. Pearson said, "Don't be silly. I'm all right." Doris, indignantly, means with lots of dislike, "It's not me that's being silly. And I must say it's a bit much when I have been working hard all day and you can't even bother to get my tea ready." Doris is so angry. She said, "I work for the whole day and when I come back, can't you prepare tea for me?" Similarly, like all the other family members, Doris thought that she was working hard for the whole day and the mother was taking rest. The mother was also doing work since the whole day. She was also tired, but Doris felt, I was doing work for the whole day. Why have you not prepared tea for me? Did you hear what I said about my yellow silk? She again reminds to iron her yellow silk. Mrs. Pearson said, no. Don't you like it now? Don't you like your yellow silk? I never did. Okay, she said, I have never liked your yellow silk ever. Doris again indignantly. Of course I like it, and I'm going to wear it tonight. So I want it ironed. She said it once again to her mum to iron her yellow silk. Mrs. Pearson said, want it ironed? What do you think it is going to do? Iron itself? Is your silk going to be ironed itself? Somebody will have to do that. Doris said, no, you are going to iron it for me. You always do. Her mother always ironed the clothes for her. So this time also she wanted this. But this time this is not the mother in front of her. The mother is just appearance wise. Otherwise in personality it is Mrs. Fitzgerald. Mrs. Pearson said, well, this time I don't. Every time I did it iron for you, but this time I don't want to. And don't talk rubbish to me about working hard. I have a good idea how much you do, Doris Pearson. I put in twice the hours you do. If you work for 6 hours, I work for 12 hours. And get no wages. No thanks for it. You are getting wages, but I'm not getting wages, not even a thanks for it. Why are you going to wear your yellow silk? Where are you going? Doris, sulkily, with some hesitation, and she said, out with Charlie Spence. Mrs. Pearson said, why? Why are you going out with that man? Doris, widely, with lots of strange anger. Why? What's the matter with you? Why should not I go out with Charlie Spence if he asks me? And I want to. Any objections? Go on. You might as well tell me. Tell me if you have any objections of me going with Charlie Spence. Mrs. Pearson severely said, can't you find anybody better? I won't be seen dead with Charlie Spence. She said, I just don't want even to be looked dead with Charlie Spence, and you are going alive on a date with Charlie Spence. Buck teeth and half-witted person he is. Bad teeth with gap, and he's half-witted. He doesn't make sense. He's not intelligent. Doris said, he isn't. Mrs. Pearson said, when I was your age, I would have found somebody better than Charlie Spence, or given myself up as a bad job. Either I would have found some better one, or I would never have gone with anybody else. Doris, who's nearly in tears, getting so much embarrassed and humiliated by her mother, she said, oh, shut up. Doris runs out left. Mrs. Pearson chuckles and begins putting the cards together. After a moment, Cyril Pearson enters left. He is the masculine counterpart of Doris. Means Doris is the daughter, Cyril is the son of Mr. and Mrs. Pearson. Cyril comes briskly, quickly, says, hello ma'am, hello mom, tea ready? He again with the question. So this is with everyone. Everybody comes expecting that the tea would be ready, expecting their clothes would be ironed, expecting the dinner would be ready, and expecting that their mother or the wife would be doing everything for them. So he asked, tea ready? Mrs. Pearson said no. Cyril moving to the table, annoyed. Why not? Why the tea is not prepared? A son asks from his mother. Mrs. Pearson very coolly said, I could not bother. Cyril feeling off color or something? Means, are you feeling fine or something? Pearson said, never felt better in my life. Means I'm so well health wise that I have never felt so better in my life. Cyril gets aggressive on this and said, what's the idea then? Why have you not prepared tea? Mrs. Pearson said, just a change. Just for a change, I have not prepared tea. Cyril briskly, well, snap out of it, ma. and get cracking. Haven't too much time. Please start preparing tea. Cyril is about to go when Mrs. Pearson's voice checks him, stops him. Mrs. Pearson says, "You don't have time. I have plenty of time." Cyril said, "Yes, but I haven't. Got a busy night tonight." Moving left to the door, "Did you put my things out?" He again asks. He had ordered his mother in the morning to do something, so he's asking, "Have you put my things out?" Mrs. Pearson coolly, "Can't remember, but I doubt it. I doubt whether I have put the things out or not." Cyril, moving to the table, protesting now. "Look, when I asked you this morning, you promised. You said you would have to look through them first in case there was any mending. You will see if my anything needs repair or not. You promised." Mrs. Pearson said, "Yes, well, now I have decided I don't like mending. I told you this in the morning, but now I don't like mending." Cyril said, "That's a nice way to talk. What would happen if we all talked like that? If we all say that we are not in the mood of doing any work, what would happen?" Pearson said, "You all do talk like that. If there is something at home you don't want to do, you don't do it. If it's something at your work, you get the union to bar it. Now all that has happened is that I have joined the movement. Mother said if you don't want to work anything at home, you simply refuse for it. If you don't want to do anything at work, you have your teams and unions and you just bar it, ban it. But see, for the first time, just think that I have also joined some movement and I am not going to do any kind of work for you." Cyril is staggering. He is not able to even stand properly due to shock. "I don't get this, Mom. What's going on?" Mrs. Pearson, laconic and sinister, with an evil way, she said, "Changes." "What are going on?" "Changes." This is it for the day. Okay. Now we'll see what happened when Doris and Cyril came together to talk to their mother and what happened when Mr. Pearson came. So let's have today's word now. It's again a comparison between two words, fewer versus less. Both means some. Fewer is used for countable nouns which can be counted. Like people these days are buying fewer newspapers. You can go with people these days are buying fewer cold drinks, fewer sweets. Okay. Less is used for uncountable nouns. Example is, ironically, when I am on tour, I listen to less music. Generally, when people are there on tour or they are driving, they listen to music. But that's why this is said ironically. On tours, I listen to less music. Music is uncountable, so less is used with it. Note down these words in your dictionary and have a good day.